This is my one winter season review of my Rip Curl 4.3 Fusion wetsuit. So I'll go back to the very start of when I got this wetsuit. Well, it wasn't even this one. The first Rip Curl Fusion 4.3 I bought, my finger went through the neoprene, just at the back of the hamstring area when I was just putting it on. Very regular thing you do with all your wetsuits, never had it happen before. Took it back to Rip Curl, they put a patch over it, fixed it, which is fine. Probably 3 or 4 weeks later, exactly the same thing happens in a different area of the wetsuit at the back near the hamstring area. Took it back to Rip Curl again, they've obviously said this isn't good enough, and they said they'll replace the wetsuit. This was at the back end of winter, so probably around October it was. They didn't have it in stock. I waited until February of the next year to get this replacement, which for starters was not a zipperless wetsuit, which was the original one that I got. So this one does have the zip, which is okay, but I preferred the zipperless. For some reason, they weren't making those anymore. So it was a really disappointing start to this wedding. Anyway, we got into the winter, and this wetsuit was great. I can't knock it too much. Very, very comfortable, and it was very, very warm. We get down about 13-degree water here in Victoria over winter. Had no dramas there. One little thing I probably didn't like about it was I reckon that the ankles were a bit too wide. They just weren't gripping my ankle quite enough. So sometimes it would just roll up your ankle a little bit, maybe let in a little bit of water. That was probably my biggest sort of bugbear on this suit. Apart from that, it was pretty good. But getting towards the back end of winter, that's when the trouble started on this wetsuit. I started to find a little pinhole leak in the groin area of the wetsuit. Getting a pinhole leak in the groin area in the middle of winter, that's not where you want the cold water going in, as we all know. Then there was another pin leak in around the elbow area, just around on the point. So 2 pinhole leaks sort of in the back end of winter in the wetsuit that Rip Curl promote as seams that don't leak. So as the back end of winter started, getting long, as the weeks went by, these holes started getting bigger and bigger. Oh, well, you can't even see them, but more water started getting in. So as soon as you'd walk in the water, as soon as you started sort of getting, above waist depth, you just feel the water leaking in. So as soon as you're paddling out, you're filling this wetsuit, filling up with cold water in the middle of winter, which is not ideal. So look, it's really disappointing about this wetsuit. I have spent about $750, $800 on the Rip Curl top of the range wetsuit. Yes, it's comfortable. Yes, it's warm. But for a wetsuit of that price, you're expecting to get one more winter out of it. 100% should be getting more than one winter out of this wetsuit. Rip Curl promote it as seams that don't leak. That's why I bought it. That is why I bought this wetsuit. I thought, yeah, I'll pay the extra price because I'm going to get hopefully 3 winters out of this wetsuit. I haven't even got one. So when I get into the water in the middle of winter now in this wetsuit, it leaks straight away in the groin area, and as I start paddling out, the elbow area starts filling with water as well. So by the time you're getting out to your surf, the inside of the wetsuit's all wet. So not only are you getting cold, your wetsuit's filling up with water, the wetsuit's getting heavier. That's all stuff that this wetsuit is not supposed to do. I'm not sure what Rip Curl what's going on with the quality of their wetsuits. I had a Dawn Patrol a couple of years ago. The first time I wore it, I went in the water, there was a pinhole around the knee area. Took it back to Rip Curl twice. They couldn't find any pinholes, which is fair enough, you probably can't find it. That wetsuit was pretty much useless for winter as well. I've had 2 Rip Curl GPS watches, both of them broke. Took them back to Rip Curl probably 3 times. Each time it broke again. In the end, I said, I just can't have this watch anymore. It just keeps breaking down. So there's something seriously going on with the quality of Rip Curl products. As I said, I liked this wetsuit. It was great until it started leaking. You just can't promote a wetsuit as seams that don't leak when they leak. You should be getting more than one winter out of this wetsuit. So my honest review of this wetsuit after one winter is I just can't recommend it. I've had plenty of wetsuits. I've had O'Neill's, I've had Need Essentials. All of those wetsuits, I'm getting 2-3 winters out of them. No dramas, and they're nowhere near the price of this. So you can go back and see my very first initial review of this wetsuit. It was pretty good. But I did say at the time I was going to come back after 1 year and we'll see how it goes then. and the review is not great. Would I spend 750 to 800 bucks on the Rip Curl top of the range Fusion wetsuit? Absolutely not. Really, really disappointing on what has the potential to be a great wetsuit, but for wetsuits that seems don't leak as it's promoted and it doesn't happen, it's just not good enough, and a really disappointing wetsuit. Unfortunately, cannot recommend it.